Hey, math students, let's go ahead and take a look at this question. It says, what is the inverse of each operation? Now, don't get thrown by my language, guys. I'm asking opposites. I want the opposites of each of these operations. And remember, operations are just the things that we do with numbers in math class, like add, subtract, multiply, divide. And you might say, Kate, who cares what the inverse or opposite is? And I say, you care. You need to care. This is what much of algebra is based on. If you understand opposites, you can do most of what you need to do in algebra. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, and I started with the biggest challenge for most students right off the bat. So the opposite, what is the inverse or opposite of the second power? So first of all, if you aren't familiar with what I mean by the second power, that's that little floating 2, like this is 7 to the second power. But that's not the only way to read this. You can also read it when you have a little floating 2 as 7 squared. 7 squared. Now, what's the opposite or inverse of squaring? Well, the opposite or inverse of squaring is to take the square root. And it looks like that little check mark house, also known as a radical. So what's the opposite of the second power? It's a square root. I'm a jerk. Tricky right off the bat. And then we get a little easier. What's the opposite of subtraction? Oh, that's addition. You can put a piece in through addition. You can take a piece out through subtraction. You're doing the same thing forwards or backwards. Now, look at my language there. What's the opposite of squaring? What a jerk. I'm just asking basically the same question as I did before. I'm asking you, what's the opposite of the second power? So what's the opposite of squaring again? That is square root. Don't get thrown around when I use synonyms. And what's the opposite of multiplication? You can put together groups, equal size groups with multiplication, or you could take apart equal size groups with the opposite. The inverse is division. And then finally, what is the opposite of the square root? Well, we were just looking at that, but now we're looking the other way. The opposite of the square root is squaring, or the second power. Either one of those I'll take. Now, I just want you to take special note of these. We're going to be looking more at these exponents, these powers, and their roots in the coming lessons. But understanding that those guys are inverses is really going to help you once we get to algebra. All right, if you have any questions about this or any other GED math topic, be sure to drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it.